The film begins with a teenager named Rodrigo, who lives only with his mother, Valeria, after his parents divorced. Rodrigo is a very spoiled child. Even though he is a teenager, he still likes to sleep with his mother, and acts childishly with his mother. One day, his mother brought a man named Fernando to their house. This made Rodrigo feel uncomfortable because that night he could not sleep next to his mother, because his mother's room was occupied by Fernando and his mother. Because of that incident, Rodrigo thought about it. Even when he was at school, he decided to skip school. He then went to the junkyard to find a place to be alone. There Rodrigo made a kind of base camp, just in case Fernando often came to his house. And later Rodrigo would use that place to relieve his anger. Sure enough, Fernando got closer to Rodrigo's mother. Even Rodrigo had time to see his mother making out with Fernando. This made Fernando upset and went alone to the car junkyard. Apparently, Rodrigo really wanted to be able to drive. Until one day Fernando invited him to shop for daily necessities. There Fernando also taught Rodrigo to drive. Fernando was very kind to Rodrigo and his mother. He intended to marry Rodrigo's mother and also fulfill all their needs. Fernando even invited them to go on vacation together, and also renovated Rodrigo's house. However, all that kindness was still not enough to make Rodrigo fully accept Fernando. In fact, Rodrigo deliberately spilled paint on Fernando's clothes and used the remaining paint to paint the wrecked car he was repairing. But Fernando didn't care. He continued to be kind to Rodrigo, and returned to teaching Rodrigo to drive until he was fluent. But one night, Rodrigo saw his mother with Fernando doing that. This made him very angry. When Fernando returned to teach Rodrigo to drive, he vented his frustration by speeding on busy roads. This made Fernando upset and reported it to Rodrigo's mother. As a result, he was scolded, which made him even more upset, and went to the base camp and stayed there. But in the morning, Fernando, who couldn't bear it, came there and took Rodrigo home. Sometime later, Rodrigo was confused because the base camp he made had disappeared who knows where. Long story short, when at home with his mother, they were surprised by the sound of a horn from outside the house. Apparently Fernando repaired the car Rodrigo used until it could be used again. But even so, Rodrigo was not willing if Fernando was with his mother. He was very upset when he saw Fernando and his mother making out. Until that night, Rodrigo saw them making out again, which made Rodrigo even angrier. Rodrigo vented his anger by burning the car that Fernando had repaired until nothing was left. As a result of the incident, Fernando had to deal with the authorities. Fernando, who was upset, then decided to separate from Rodrigo's mother because he could no longer stand the behavior of his future son. Rodrigo's mother was also very upset with her son's behavior. Until in the end they made up again, and decided to live their lives together like before. And the film ended.